Okay.
30. Let
You
me
ready to go?
almost.
Okay, I'm gonna open up the Board of Zoning Adjustment for December 3. And we are going to consider under new business, Ruth H. Brown's variance request, which includes a front, rear, and side yard setback, plus a major road setback and height variance. Michael, do you have your notice of posting? Has that been submitted?
Yes.
Would
I
the
think so,
record
yes, yeah.
reflect that that has been done? And, this is in the R30 zone district. And we do have one, favorable, letter of support, which we will enter into the record. I guess I need to take a roll call.
Yes.
Here, Charles Cuniff, Seth Hamilowski, Rick Kidd, Charlie Podolak is remote, and I'm not sure about Christoph. Are you on board, Christoph?
No, he is not here.
All right, I guess I should inform the applicant that because we only have 4 members, you're gonna need all 4 of us to be in agreement on favorable ruling. Okay, you have the floor, Michael.
Thank you, Rick. Would you mind, Board of Adjustment, Ruthie Brown is the applicant.
She's here.
Okay, Michael.
I'm just gonna do-
Oh my God, how you doing with 60 of them? So, sorry, I'm really sorry.
We just did roll call and they were just turning the floor over to us and I think we're gonna ask for a little delay, but we'll. Thank you, Board of Adjustment, Mike Kramer with Kramer Land Planning. Here with me today is Ruthie Brown, owner of the property at 25 Glen Eagles. And then we also have lead assistant architect and Jennifer Delecki Smith, landscape architect, here in the audience too, in case we have any design questions. So as you said, Rick, we submitted a variance application. We have 3 variances we're considering. One is for a major road setback for Ruthie's new home. We've also have a height variance for a berm and also a height variance for driveway retaining walls that are in the setback, all at 25 Glen Eagles Drive. Just so you all know, we also have a land use application that's currently being reviewed with Pickens County Planning, an activity envelope and site plan application for a single family house and an attached CDU and an attached garage that's nearing completion. So that's in process and this variance is being run in tandem with that process. We have a short presentation and we want to provide some information on property background, some of the site conditions, and then an explanation of all the variances that we're requesting. And hopefully this alleviates and shows some of the hardships on the property, and then we'll be open for any questions you might have. Okay, so here is a vicinity map of the area, the subject property highlighted in blue. The property is located in the 1960 platted Aspen Highlands subdivision, and it's adjacent to other Aspen Highlands subdivision lots that are developed with single family residences to the north and to the south and to the east. To the west, the Aspen Rec Center is across Maroon Creek Road. And I'm gonna bring up another map that shows a little bit better. But this property is also just outside the city of Aspen jurisdiction. It's in Pickens County. The property is accessed off Highway 82, the roundabout, and we're about a mile and a half up Maroon Creek Road to get to the property off Glen Eagles Drive. This is an aerial map of the property. This is a 2020 taken from Pickens Maps and More. Properties outlined in blue, and you can probably see, obviously, the GIS layer parcel map is not accurate. There's a portion of that house to the east that's on the property, and it's not If you look at the survey supplied in the application, you can see that that house isn't on it. The property is 41,540 square feet in size. We're located in the R30 zone district, and it's a legal conforming size lot with a 13% floor area ratio. Property also has a growth management exemption for 5,750 square feet. The lot contains some flat areas along the western property boundary and some slopes over 15% and 30% on the eastern property boundary. And, it's vacant, but, contains mature oak vegetation and then dry mountain grass understory on the property. Prior to the Aspen Highlands subdivision, the property had an old access road that was cut in from Maroon Creek Road along this southern property boundary here. You can see that. This access road disturbed the natural grade topography and created a grade that's manipulated on the site that we see today. And I think also at one point, this was part of Aspen Highlands, and there was a snowmaking pond above this property. Okay.
That's the initial,
Yeah, and I don't have a map that shows that, but we're gonna show an old aerial map that shows where the old access road was cut, but that would have been somewhere about right here, you think?
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
So it was all with Jones's subdivision.
oh,
Yeah,
right.
that was the original.
So this map shows the property just slope percentages. We have a slope percentage map in the packet, but slopes less than 30% are the blue, and then slopes over 15, 30% of the red. That area of 15 and 30% of the red is what we've avoided with our activity envelopes. This is the plan that we have submitted in the packet. The site shows the site plan that's also in the current land use application. And this site plan was carefully crafted to place the residence and the attached garage on the least steep portion of the property and to avoid dense mature oak that's well established on the site. The proposed home footprint is highlighted in blue, which you can see there, and the activity envelope is highlighted in light green. Driveway highlighted in orange is accessed off Glen Eagles Drive. And we did this after a meeting with the City of Aspen Engineering Department, who said that this portion of Maroon Creek Road is within city jurisdiction. It's not in county jurisdiction. And that any driveway access off of Maroon Creek Road would not be allowed. So property is also adjacent to a designated scenic corridor and is subject to ridgeline review. There also exists, as you can see in this map, a private restricted easement that is highlighted in red that cannot be used for development. And that's where my cursor is right there. So tonight we have 3 variance requests that we're asking for. And the first one is a variance for the residence. And due to unusual lot narrowness and restricted 100-foot major road setback that was adopted in 1976, which is after the 1960 Aspen Highlands subdivision plat was reported, a unique property condition was created whereby without a variance, this property is nearly unbuildable. And because of this, the applicant requests an 83-foot setback variance for the house. And as you can see from this map here, what we did was we highlighted in where that major road setback is required of the property, and then also illustrated where that restricted easement is. The setback reduction creates twofold land use compliance. The first is that siting the residence in its proposed location avoids steep slopes on the east side of the lot. So that's number one. Number two is the location of the structure complies with scenic view protection standards. Maroon Creek Road is a designated scenic corridor, and if the structure was cited setback compliant, it would push development up the hill and create a ridgeline issue for us. This setback variance is a reasonable request to create compliance with these 2 code standards. And the applicant doesn't believe that this variance would cause a substantial detriment to neighbors, the public good, or compromise the land use code or the comp plan. The second variance we're asking for is for driveway retaining walls. And this is a little bit tricky, because Maroon Creek Road cannot be used for access. We are taking access off Glen Eagles Drive, which is a county-owned road. And we met at the property with the county engineer, Andrew Knapp, and the access alignment and the curb cut that we're showing is in the best possible location, given its proximity to Maroon Creek Road. The Glen Eagles right of way contains steep slopes that are man-made from when Glen Eagles Road was cut in the subdivision approval. And these slopes are substantial enough where the driveway retaining walls exceed the maximum height limit in the setback of 6 feet. So due to unusual topographical conditions, we are requesting a 3.5 foot variance for a stacked boulder retaining wall that's necessary for soil retention and safe access for construction and end user enjoyment. This is a map that we just put together at the request of Joanne, and this is really good because we could have done a better job showing this in the application, but this slide is a zoomed in view of the boulder retaining wall. And what we did here is we showed a breakdown of how tall this wall is, and you can see from this angle up here in the green, we're at 9.5 feet for the height of the retaining wall. And then as we catch grade and the slope reduces a little bit, we're at 7 feet in blue. And then here in the orange, we reduce down to 6, which is code compliant. And then obviously, down here in the red, we're at 5 feet, and that's code compliant too. But that's a breakdown of what the wall looks like within the setback.
Can I ask what happens on the upper side after the process the dog heading towards the road?
Yeah, the wall gets a little bit shorter up there, Charles. And it's also at that point off property and in the right of way.
Right.
So we're gonna need a right of way permit with the county engineer to put those retaining walls
So
in.
we're going to pursue that too.
Yeah, we'll do that with our building permits. Yep. Okay, the third variance we're asking for is for a landscape berm in the southwestern portion of the property. And the purpose of this berm is to soften the scenic view impacts of the residents and to mitigate some of the off-site impacts from the Aspen Rec Center, namely the headlights, traffic noise, and then also the tennis courts that are across Maroon Creek Road. And also, I was gonna ask too, if you might know this, are there racquetball courts over there too?
Pickleball.
Pickleball, that's what it was. Yeah, pickleball courts are relatively new over there. So the proposed berm will help soften these impacts and allow Ruthie to better enjoy her property. The berm will be revegetated and landscaped with native trees and will be well integrated into the property. And due to prior site manipulation of that access road that excavated out the grade, the property's topography has been heavily altered in this area. So therefore, a 6 foot height variance where 4 feet is allowed is the minimum needed to adequately mitigate these offsite impacts to the future home. I'm going to toggle to a similar picture, but a new slide to show you exactly where the berm exceeds 4 feet in height. So keep this image in mind. And I'm going to toggle to the new image here. The area in blue is where the berm exceeds 4 feet in height within the side yard setback and the rear yard setback. So I'll quick toggle back. That's the berm in its entirety. But we're only talking about a small portion of that berm exceeding 4 feet in height right here. Okay. This photo was taken this past spring from Maroon Creek Road looking east towards the property. And this is a really good photo because it demonstrates where the old access road was cut into the property. And the arrows here point to where site excavation occurred for that old road construction.
Is that Doremus's house up there?
No, I don't believe so.
Oh, no, you can't see Doremus's house. Doremus's house is
To the right.
in back.
Yeah, they would be over here.
It's Schumacher's old house.
So Lattermans are next door, and this might be the neighbor next door to the Lattermans. Okay. This map, and I'm not sure how great you can see, but this is a 1968 aerial map And we pulled this from the archives, and this shows where that old access road was cut in. And it winds through the Aspen Highlands subdivision. If you actually zoom out, it goes further up the subdivision. And it's very telling how grade has been manipulated on this property. And we think that had grade not been manipulated, we probably wouldn't need a request for a variance for the berm, but we're in the situation we are today. We want to share a couple great renderings of Ruthie's home and where the berm would be. This is a rendering looking northeast from Maroon Creek Road. And it shows the grade that we'd like to put in without mature vegetation. This is just revegetated at this point. And the second slide we're going to show here. Yeah, that's with mature trees and the landscape plan that we'd like to propose. Okay. And last two slides, here, I don't need to repeat for you, but here's your criteria for approval, Board of Adjustment. 3 setback variances we're requesting are reasonable to create compliance with both land use code standards and are in response to what we believe are clear hardships on this property. The applicant does not believe these variants will cause substantial detriment to the public good or impair the purpose of the Pickett County Comprehensive Plan or the land use code. So in summary, we feel that the manipulated site topography and the major road setback with the strict application clearly creates a hardship on this property. There's a private easement that further restricts where we can build on the property. And if the variance is granted, and the variances are granted tonight that we're requesting, a code compliant residence and driveway design can be built. The new residence will comply with ridgeline review. So that's our presentation. And if you have any questions, we can try and answer them.
Very good, Michael. Excellent presentation. I want to compliment the architect and the landscape architect. It's going to look like a great house. I'm jealous. Before we deliberate, I'm going to ask that the Tom Kuhn, who is a member of the public, has some comments. Tom, are you hearing us?
Yes.
Hi,
You-
I just want to remind the board that you approved a major road setback variance on this property last year. Alan Richmond presented the application for the previous owner who was looking for an activity envelope just so they could sell the property. And the board, there was no site plan, there was no plan for development, but they wanted to demonstrate relief from the county road setback. However, those approvals, your approvals lapse after 1 year. So that's why Ruthie had to come back. And plus she has a development plan in need of other variances.
Thank you, Joanna, for that clarification. Tom, you have the floor.
Oh, I live in the property that was in the image.
Okay,
That's why I'm on the call. I'm just paying attention to the process. I don't know if you know the whole history, but the people at 45 subdivided the property and sold 25. That private easement is part of that land transaction, and the failure to be able to access the road from Maroon Creek Road was an existing condition when the lot was purchased. There's no surprise that they wouldn't allow access from Maroon Creek Road. The only thing I'll say is that I received this morning the notice of this hearing. It was mailed within the statutory period, but you can imagine that receiving a notice on the day of the hearing caused me to inquire because all I had was one simple public notice. And having reviewed what I've seen today, I don't see that there's any reason for me to raise any objection to this plan, but I do plan to pay close attention as the project unfolds.
very good. So generally, you're in support of this application?
I've only had about 6 hours to review it, so I don't think I would indicate support or objection. I'm just here because in the future I plan to be at any hearing involving this property, and I plan to pay fairly close attention to the plans and how they're being executed once the construction begins.
Very good. Well, thank you for your participation here tonight, Tom. Okay, moving on. I guess it's time for us to close the public portion and we will deliberate. Charlie, you have any comments?
No, I am in agreement with the request and the rationale for it. So I don't have any objection to what's been presented.
Very good. Seth?
Just one question. Do you have any imagery of what the retaining walls look like? What those are made of?
Pile of rocks.
Like rocks? Yeah, good question. Jen, I think would be best to answer that.
Can you state? I don't have any with me, but I know you know what it look like.
If you're designing it, I know.
It would be.
You identify yourself.
Yes, Jennifer Galecki Smith for the Skate Garden Design. They would be large scale moss granite boulders set in a very natural way. I don't know, I'll probably look up some pictures.
Very similar to the other work there.
Very similar to the other work that Enscape has done.
Okay, great. That's all I need here. Thanks.
I've got that picture.
Mr. Podolak, do you have any comments?
I do not. It looks very straightforward.
Okay, well, I tend to agree with you all. It kind of checks all the boxes that we like to see in granting variances. I will note that Suzanne Wolf of the Planning Department staff supports all of these variance requests. And it's clearly a peculiar practical difficulty creating an undue hardship on this applicant. And so I'm very much in favor of granting this variance, given that there's no harm to the public or the neighbors. So having said that, I will entertain a motion to approve this variance. Do we have a case number associated with this?
Joanna, case number?
Joanna, do you know, do we have a case number for this? Usually we have.
Should be on the memo.
I don't see it in the,
We don't have it on the actual agenda, sorry. Give
It's
me-
also on the resolution. Do you have a copy of the resolution that was drafted?
all right, we can straighten that out. So, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Having none, all those in favor, so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Looks like you've got your variance. It looks like a great project. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Board of Adjustment. We appreciate it.
Good job, team.
Good job putting all that together. It's not an easy, straightforward.
Before you adjourn, I wanted to introduce Rebecca Dunlap. She's working on the other planning application for this project.
Well, hi,
She's our new
Rebecca.
planner.
Nice to meet you all.
Very good. Okay.
Also, did the board get their calendars?
Yes, we did. Thank
Okay.
you.
Happy holidays. Thank you for your service.
Thanks, Joanna.
Just made it worthwhile.
All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
great. Good job, Charlie.
Thank you. See you all later.